Oh, folks, good day and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic. I have not come off my high yet, folks. Do me a favor, smash that like, do chat in with where you're from. I'm so excited to see already 183 of you on, just like that with the click of a button. Do me a favor, just smash that like. We'll get a bunch more on. Thanks for joining me tonight. I mean, folks, it's over for Jack Smith. It's over for Merrick Garland. And all these cases are actually going away right now. That's a big news story, and I'm so excited about it. But I want to mention my sponsor really quick, and then I've got a guest I'm going to bring in right away. But mypillow.com, folks, man, nobody's more excited than Mike Lindell. And you think about all the persecution, prosecution, all the witch hunts he's been through, just like Donald Trump. These guys are rejoicing because they're looking at a day where justice can be served in America again. So go get Mike some business. Go get your Christmas gifts there because you know what? He deserves it. mypillow.com/lumberjack, 1-800-568-2865. I believe, in fact, let me just check the website here. I believe that the free Steve pillow, yes, it is. All right. I thought this was supposed to have ended by now, but folks, you can get the free Steve pillow right now still at lumberjack, mypillow.com/lumberjack. So I'll just show you. That's this pillow right here, painted by Jim Hansel, but it's the American Eagle. And it's free. It's just free. You just go over there. You just pay shipping and handling. It's free. All right. So without any further ado, though, I'm going to pull in my special guests. Oh, my other guest showed up. Holy cats, folks. We're going to have a party now. All right. First, I've got the Titan of Twitter, the George.
Neil, I'm terrified about something, and I haven't told you this before, but I'm concerned about January 20th, 2025.
I know.
I'm terrified that we're going to have a very high unemployment rate, in DC. We're going to have a very high unemployment rate. I'm really scared. It's Trump's going to double the unemployment rate in DC.
Oh my gosh, it'll be awful. Hey, let's bring in our other guest here really quick. I've got the intrepid reporter reporting to us live from in Georgia. I have Talk Mullins, or Heather Mullins. Talk Mullins is her X handle, folks. Heather, Heather, how excited are you today? I mean, just like put it in like 3 words.
Honestly, I feel like an emotional basket case most of the day because like I started off right like when he first
3 words I asked for. This is what happens when you're talking to a lady.
I'm not Kamala. I can actually put sentences together, and I tend to want to use more than 3 words. Okay, Neil, like right? Like
why are you mansplaining her?
But anyway, so it's just been like a roller coaster of emotions, but I feel like I'm finally on the high of it. Like I went through this period where I was like, man, like I no longer have the threat of a weaponized government on my back. Like,
we still do for the next 2 months, Heather. We still do.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say the same thing I've said the rest of the time. Like, screw you. Like, come at me, bro. like I literally tag Brad Raffensperger, the FBI, like whoever, and I like call him out. And I don't know, you do too, George. And it's just like so many people have called out.
No, I didn't call out no FBI. Stay out of my house, man. No 2 a.m. raids.
Okay, fine. Maybe you don't do that.
I've done it.
Well, no, I've done it because the FBI literally threw Greg and Catherine under the bus, and Greg and Catherine did 10 days in jail. So when you throw my friends in jail, you become my enemy. And so the FBI has been dirty for so long, and I have been calling them out. And so the fact that we've had a weaponized justice system where over the last couple of years, I've seen my friends go to jail. I see people I worked with in Georgia covering the election stuff get indicted by Fani Willis. I've seen President Trump get shot at. I saw Steve Bannon, who was the #1 show I reported on, go to jail. So I'm like, everyone around me is going to jail. I had J6ers pleading to me to tell their stories before they were going off to prison, like innocent people. And so this whole time, it's like, here I am, even just as a journalist, like where you're seeing all this stuff happen around you, and you're like, at what point are they going to come after me for like telling the stories? Like it's getting that bad. And leading up until this election, like I was legitimately concerned that if they pulled off some heist again and managed to stay in power, that they would ramp up those efforts and start going after people tenfold. So that threat, that anxiety leading up to the election was so real for me. And like, that's why it took me a minute to process this victory, because it was like, I had just been under so much stress and trying to tone it out and just focus on the elections. And, you know, I was on the ground in Fulton County, and it like I didn't know what to expect. So like to have Georgia flip red, it honestly, like, it took a minute for me to even believe it was real. And then I felt like I couldn't accept the results because something was gonna happen.
Wait, you still remained an election denier even after we won?
I had like PTSD from 2020. So
yeah,
like,
you know, I'll be honest, Heather, there were points where I was gonna I felt like I was just gonna wake up from sleep because some late night ballot dump happened.
yeah,
I had a dream. I didn't even remember this till this morning, but last night I had a dream that like Nevada was like 1 point, and then Trump just started losing. I don't even understand how and then it just flipped with some ballot dumps. I don't know what's wrong with us, man.
it's PTSD, but I
Well,
mean,
we experienced this in 2020, not only 2020, but we experienced it in the 2022 Arizona governor's race. And this is why, look, folks, if you live in Maricopa County, Arizona, I don't know. I just cannot take Maricopa County anymore. I can't. Stephen Richer and this whole, what is this? Some feeling of self-importance they have to like constantly, 7 o'clock, we're going to give you another 20,000. Oh, thank you, overlords. Please do. And then we wait with bated breath that they might give us 20,000. And then it turns out it's 12,000. And it's so ridiculous. They can't count ballots in Maricopa County. It is the most absurd, preposterous thing I've ever seen in an election. And yet then you got ABC Data Guru, with this little Count Chocula or whatever handle on X. Oh, we'll release another dump. And he just kind of pre-announces it so he can grow his Twitter stuff. I can't take these people anymore.
I hate the word dumps. I just hate that word.
Well, that's what they call them. It's just nuts. But folks, I've got a special guest tonight. Okay. And Heather, you were just talking about J6ers, wrongfully imprisoned, wrongfully persecuted, wrongfully prosecuted. I have one such individual waiting backstage here, and we're going to bring him into the show. And I want to hear from him, and I want to get kind of like his perspective on the election and the relief he feels now. Unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to look this, he's already served his time. He was the guy in that Politico article when they came out and they got their first big felony conviction, and so I'm going to bring him into the stage right now. I have Joshua Black. Joshua, good to see you.
Good to see you again. Thanks for having me.
Black. Yay.
Black power.
George, that's so you. Anyways.
George, I just got that. It took me.
It's a black thing you wouldn't understand.
Go ahead, Joshua.
I was saying to her, it's a black thing you wouldn't understand.
Clearly not. I'm trying to get what is it called? My blackometer, George. I'm trying to get better.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll teach you. You got the black MAGA hat on, so you're one step there.
Yeah.
So, Joshua, I got a question for you. You obviously served time in jail. You served plenty of time in pretrial detention. You've told your story on my show. You were there at the line that was, just standing there at one point until you got shot in the face. You were the one who got shot in the face. Just so you folks understand, when the line broke down on J6 and the Patriots really got upset, is because Joshua was actually nailed right in the face, blood coming out of his mouth. I think he knocked out one of your teeth too. No, it looked like it. I mean, but anyways,
that was the bullet stuck in my cheek.
Yeah, which is like a rubber bullet.
Wow. Plastic. It was plastic. It was not rubber. Big difference.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Rubber gives, plastic don't.
Yeah. I mean, it nailed you there. It
went all the way through. Made a big hole. You could stick your thumb in it if you if it didn't hurt extremely bad. But it was a big hole. I mean,
yeah. And that's when the line broke down. Actually, was after that occurred. It's always in this January 6th footage you see where the guy, he was up on the stairs who shot you with that, and then the whole line just breaks down. I've seen that footage so many times. They started, and that's when they started. Well, they started throwing the flashbangs and everything at that point. Things kind of got crazy there. I was. It's interesting because I got some video footage of it that day, and it's wild. I almost wonder, Joshua, if I've got some footage of you, I should probably go dig up my old video actually, because.
Did you do in jail?
What's that?
How long in jail?
I did 99 days before trial, and I did 11 months and like a day or two after. Like, that was my sentencing. I got 22 months, and because of the First Step Act, I only had to do 14 and a half months. So, but the 3.5 counted, so I only did 11 months straight in federal penitentiary.
What did they charge you with?
It was
basically. Can I guess? Insurrection.
No, because nobody got charged with insurrection, George. It was the bridge too far. Jack Smith couldn't even go there. By the way, Jack Smith is on his way out. He's packing his bags right now. I just want you all to know that. It's over.
Okay.
And that's got to make you feel good, Joshua, that's whole weaponized government, the quote unquote justice system. But go back. Tell them what you were charged with.
I don't know exactly, because it was basically trespassing with a knife. But I've got 5 different charges of trespassing, basically. One of them was disorderly conduct. And I told my lawyer, I said, well, I wasn't disorderly. He goes, well, you weren't supposed to be there. I said, well, that's trespassing. He goes, oh, that's a different charge. I said, so all 5 charges are trespassing? He goes, no, this is trespassing with a knife. This is trespassing with a knife in this room. This is trespassing in a knife in this room. It was like 5 different charges for one thing. Like, I was trespassing with a knife, and it was a small knife. It was like barely, it was 2 7/8 inches, but they measured all the way, like they measured the non-sharpened part of it because it wasn't long enough for them to give me a felony for one of the felonies. There was 3 different knife charges with 3 different qualifications. So no matter, like, they charge you with 15 crimes because you're probably guilty of one of them. Imagine you drive down the road and you see a house on fire and a kid standing in the window up there screaming, and you kick the door in and you run in, you grab the kid and wrap him in a towel and you climb out the window. They can technically charge you with breaking and entering and kidnapping because you technically did break and enter and kidnap. But I technically trespassed, but I went in there and I was like making peace, stopping people from destroying stuff, and it didn't matter. Because it was the letter of the law that I broke. It wasn't the spirit of the law. There's a big difference. Yeah, I kidnapped the kid and I broke into the house, but I saved him from being burned to death. That don't matter. You technically broke into the house. You technically kidnapped the kid. Okay, fine. And they would convict you and send you to prison for that if they wanted to. If they decide they want to, it don't matter if you saved a kid from being burned alive. That wasn't your problem. You broke and entered. That's a felony. And then you kidnap. That's a felony. And then they're going to put you in prison. They're going to lose you. They're going to make sure they get paid because it's all money laundering and scandal. I mean, it's the money being corrupted through them prisons is unbelievable. It's crazy. I mean, I just hope Trump does something with it. I know he's only got 2 years with control, but I think this time the Republicans aren't going to fight him. So I think he's going to be able to get so much done that it's going to stick for a while. And I'm just praying that God's will be done, that God can actually use this country to spread the gospel like he originally intended. So,
now, was the prison that you were at, was that a federally run prison, yeah?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Because I
Which
know,
it wasn't bad. It was low security. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, when the J6 stuff first happened and all these reports were coming out that, like, the J6ers were at one of these prisons in D.C. where the conditions were terrible and
yeah,
all sorts of stuff. I went down to one of them with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she wanted to go back and like try to look, and they told her that the warden had to give her permission. So they would, even though it was like a federal prison, they wouldn't let a federal representative like get a tour of the facility without the warden's permission. And so we ended up like going and get it. It was either the warden or the mayor. It was one of the two. I can't remember, but it was so long ago. So whatever it was, it like we ended up going to that person's office, and then she tried to ask her about going and visiting all the J6ers. So that's when I'm wondering, now that we have Trump, now that we have the Senate and potentially the House, like what can we do to reform the prison systems in a way that will make it so that our federally elected officials can go in there without needing some sort of gatekeeper to give them permission? Because if they're elected by us and our tax dollars pay for that facility, then at any point in time, our federal representatives should be able to go and access whoever's there.
Exactly.
I can't believe that it was lost on all of you that Joshua just had a cat walk behind him on the sofa. And if that wasn't a symbol about, saving cats, with this election, I don't know what is.
Wait, Joshua, you're not in Haiti or you're not.
Well, I did. My wife's a cat person. People say, "Oh, you love cats." I said, "No, I love my wife, and she loves cats." I named almost all of our cats after food. So,
come over here.
Sounds like us naming our turkey Thanksgiving. But anyways, George, I can tell you've got a question, so I want to let you go.
No, he had to answer about.
Yes, Heather's question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I have no idea. That's never been a concern of mine. Whether federal, I'm not a big fan of the Fed, anybody in federal government. So if a federal employee is allowed to do something, I honestly just don't care. Like, I mean, it was a concern for you because it caused you a problem, but I've never even thought of that. I have no.
Let's also.
Joshua just wants to fire them all. That's where he's at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's also be honest here. She just wanted to go, not just Marjorie, all members of Congress, they want a photo op. Look, I'm here fighting for patriots. I'm here on the scene. So, it's not like they were going to change anything.
Of all the issues we have.
Well, I will say Marjorie's defense. I know a few people, like a couple of friends of mine. One of them did some time behind bars. He worked for Dr. Simone Gold and was like her private security on January 6th. And when he went to jail originally, I was one of a couple of reporters that he added to the list of people who could contact him from prison. So I was reaching out to him, and Marjorie Taylor Greene had also gotten involved on his behalf. So she wasn't just doing photo ops. She was actually intervening as much as she could, even behind the scenes, to try to get some of these people in better places or better prisons, things like that. So I do just want to say her and Louis Gohmert are the only two that I can even recall doing anything for J6ers. So
I want to comment on that too, Heather, because I interviewed Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I actually watched her interact with her constituents and everything, and she's pretty legitimate. And the other thing, George, I mean, we can say it's just a photo op, but the reality is, if you need coverage of an issue, I mean, you need press. Mm-hmm. If you want to tell a story, you need the press there. So I don't think it's fair to just.
There are a lot that just do photo ops.
Yes, there are.
There are a ton of politicians that will just show something, get their photo op and leave. But I know personally that Marjorie was working behind the scenes doing stuff for some of these J6ers and fighting for them.
Yeah, I guess I'm disincentivized because politicians, like AOC, go to buildings and pretend there's kids in cages with her crying. So, we see it often. But if she's doing the legitimate work, then respect to her. Joshua, what were you about to say?
Marjorie Taylor Greene went to that jail after I was there, and the conditions before she came were horrific. And I heard on YouTube, I was never able to talk to any of the other inmates there because I was in solitary the whole time. But
solitary?
Yeah, but I heard that the conditions were improved considerably after her visiting. So I would consider that a win, because when I first got to my cell, when they opened the door and like, here you go, I looked at it and it literally looked like an insane asylum from a horror movie. It was I mean, I live in the South and my house was built in 1941. So I'm not exactly used to hospital conditions or anything, but this place was so disgusting. It was like the Bible says, don't be afraid, like a million times. God hasn't given me the spirit of fear. So I live by a no fear policy, but it was like fear came on me because of just how disgusting. I walked in the floor, my feet were sticking to the floor. It was like the bed was stained to the max. It was there's no toilet seat. So that's really great. It was just unbelievably disgusting. Like I wouldn't even go in there until they let me mop the place, and they let me mop it with the water and no soap. So I had to mop it like 10 times, 15 times, and it was still sticky. It was so disgusting. And I spent 72 days in there by myself. And it was like you think you're sane until you've spent time by yourself. If I didn't have a Bible and the Holy Ghost, I think I would have lost my mind. I don't know how anybody can survive that without Jesus. It was unbelievable.
That's actually wild. I mean, Jake Lang, a friend of mine, I've only ever known him while he was in jail. I don't know him outside of jail. And they throw him in solitary confinement like every other week. Like for whatever reason they find. So do they use it to break your will? That's the purpose?
No, I take insulin, so they put me in a medical cell by myself. So it's not technically solitary confinement, so they can do it for years if they want to. But because I had a medical condition, they were allowed to put me inside. It wasn't technically solitary confinement. So if you go look at the paperwork, I was never in solitary confinement. I was only in a cell by myself for 72 days, which is completely different, not even close to the same thing by their standard. I wasn't in solitary confinement. I was just in a room by myself for 72 days with no outs. I could leave Monday through Friday for 1 hour and either take a shower and make phone calls, watch TV, use the microwave. I had to do it in an hour. So I would usually take about 3 showers a week, because talking on the phone was the only contact with humans I had. So I'd call my wife, I'd call my mom, call my dad, occasionally once a week I'd call a friend, but I tried to call my wife every day. That was and I only had an hour, so my mom was at work, so she couldn't really talk. And it was and I never could tell, when are you going to call? I don't know when they let me out. It was random. It'd be 8 o'clock in the morning. The next day it'd be 5 p.m.,
Jeez.
And Friday they would let you out at 8 o'clock in the morning. And then Monday they would let you out at like 5 o'clock at night. So you're almost 4 days straight without leaving your room, and that was, the weekend sucked because it was all day, like most of the day Friday, and then most of the day Monday, and then all day Friday and Saturday. And it was so it was almost 4 days straight without any human contact. The nurse would come to the door and she'd give you the evil eye, and she'd give me a shot and she'd try to hit the bone with it, mean and hateful. And then there was one nurse that was nice. She was a Christian, she was filled with the Holy Ghost and loved the Lord. That was about the only good human contact I had the whole time I was there. And I thank God for her. She was a blessing, but I'd only see her for about 2 minutes twice a day, and there was she wasn't really allowed to talk to me. So I just say, praise God, God is good. And I just try to egg her on. And then every once in a while, she just couldn't help herself and she'd start, yes, God is good. It was a black lady. Lord, and she'd get to go. And that was the highlight of my week, when I could get her riled up enough to where she'd start talking, but it was that was all I could do. It was that was the worst part of the whole deal, the solitary, because I was just about to the point, I'll sign a confession if it'll get me out of here, but I prayed about it and God wouldn't let me. If God hadn't have been so adamant against me doing it, I would have done it. Because I was, I'm not that strong. I'm solitary was too much. If I could have gotten a cell with another human being, that would have been great. Or general population, I couldn't wait to go to. I asked them about twice a week. Can I go to general public? No, you can't. All right. Why not? Because they said I was a dangerous prisoner or something. And like they had every time it was some kind of legal mumbo jumbo. Like I don't remember. It was 4 years ago, so I don't remember exactly what it was. But it was
Isn't it crazy, Joshua, that while you were in there for really nothing on January 6th, you have actual criminals that Democrats are freeing who murdered people,
oh yeah,
who stole thousands of dollars in items, who
right.
beat up grandmas. Like they committed actual real world hurt. I'll be honest, I don't think the world would change if the Capitol had a few broken windows for about 3 hours. I don't really like that's not a real world damage. But
Right.
people dying in the real world is. And the only person who died that day was Ashley Babbitt. And she
No,
was on our side.
there was about 4 people that died that day.
Roseanne Boyland and 4?
Yeah, there was a couple of guys had heart attacks when they got hit in the head with a flashbang. The one guy, he was like 60 or 70, older guy. I don't know how old, but he was an older guy. And they threw a flashbang and it went off. There's a video of it. It goes off within a few feet of his head, and you can see his eyes. His heart stopped. Like it scared him. Like, and it would have scared most people to the point of having a physical reaction. But his heart just quit on him. And like he fell down and died of a heart attack. Like,
and it was a complete Fed setup too.
yeah.
What's your vindication? I mean, me and Neil understand our vindication is election integrity. Heather knows her vindication is. What's your vindication, Heather? Answer that.
Like mine?
Yeah. What's one thing that can happen that you're like, yeah, see, I was right.
That the news starts saying the 2020 election was stolen, because it was.
Okay, so you have the same one as
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Okay. So Joshua, what about you? In relation to January 6th and the things you went through, what do you want to see in this country? What can we advocate for the next 4 years?
Drill, baby, drill.
Wait, your vindication is just success for the rest of us?
Like winning. I'm all for like it. I'm all for justice. Like I want to see truth and justice is what I've been praying for since like January 7th. You know, probably before that, but like that's what I want to see is truth and justice. I want the truth to come out, and I want those that are guilty to be punished. Because everybody says all the J6ers need to be pardoned. Well, I don't think that's true. There were some there that were instigators they were sent there by non-Trump. They weren't Trump supporters at all.
Yeah, those ones need to go to jail. But I think anyone that participated in self-defense, because this tyrannical government was, spraying tear gas and shooting rubber bullets into their bodies, I think they should be pardoned too. To be honest,
I agree.
Except the agitators, the feds, they should be the ones serving time because they participated in.
Well, I would love to see like an actual J6 committee, like do a really deep dive investigation. And if the Trump team wants to tap me as one of their investigators, I'm happy to go to town. Like actually, the 2 people I work with, Greg Phillips and Catherine Engelbrecht, they have the largest collection of J6 footage on their website, open.ink. So if you guys go there and you can click on the J6 collection, they've compiled the largest stockpile of J6 footage that exists. So we should do a real J6 committee, because there's some serious, disgusting corruption in our government, and those people need to be held accountable. I know there's some people out there that just, think Trump should get elected and try to unite the country and not go after anyone, but like we absolutely need to go after people that broke the law. We absolutely need to go after people that commit treason. And anybody in any government agency, I don't care if you're a member of Congress, an FBI agent, a DOJ agent, whatever, I don't care. If you broke the law and willfully did something to undermine our country, your ass belongs in jail. Period. And if we let criminals off, we're as bad as they are. We're as bad as the people letting Epstein's clients off the hook. So we have to get back to a place where we're enforcing the law, because that's what creates a deterrent for people in the future. If we're not enforcing laws, people are going to keep breaking them. So if we have laws, we need to enforce them. So 100%, I think anybody within our own government that had anything to do with J6 and setting it up, which I believe it was 110,000% a setup to disrupt the decertifying of electoral votes.
Yep.
I think all those votes were going to get sent back to the states because of all the fraud that happened.
Yep.
And they orchestrated the events of J6 to disrupt that meeting and that conversation. So,
and look what's going on, Heather. We see Trump with what, close to 74 million now? I don't know. It might be 72. But she's at 66. That's how I think the 2020 election actually looked.
Right.
Where are the 15 million extra votes? Where's the 81 million?
Right.
Where are those people at? That's how the 2020 election looked. And I saw someone who has been a very rigorous election fraud denier. And this guy was like, well, the results of this election show that 2020 was a rig. I was like, yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell you all these years.
Yeah.
So
I want you guys to see two things on this. The tweet by a Democrat and then the ratio that comes afterwards. 20 or so million of votes were unaccounted for. Turnout in vote counts are not aligning. Something is very wrong. So this is by a Democrat.
Okay. Do you understand their narrative here, Neil? What they're saying is we were supposed to have record turnout, but we as Democrats don't have the same turnout or more turnout than we did in 2020. So therefore, it's rigged. Where are those votes? So they're thinking votes are missing, but they never had those 81 million votes. So I think they're finally learning that they never had.
So, but what's interesting is look at the responses. So you're finally coming around on 2020, and then insurrectionist and so on. But I'm gonna share. I saw the one you sent over, Heather. I've shared that earlier, but I'll reshare that again because I think it's good to let people see because it is.
A Democrat, that woman that just shared that last one.
Yeah,
correct.
She's a Democrat.
So here's what I'm thinking, because this is what. I think they could come out and start saying Trump stole the election to try to convince them to decertify in January. So if they start pushing all this rhetoric claiming that, oh, where did all our votes go? You know what I mean? Because that was my theory, is if it was too big to rig, Mark Elias and all those like lawyers would get together and try to sue or try to intervene somehow to convince Congress not to certify his win. So if they can create enough doubt around his win, then that could be their next step, their next line of attack anyway, to keeping him from taking office. So it's interesting to shade that tweet.
Yeah, this, I just want to, this is it. Look at this. I mean, this is, okay. What the biggest point of this is, and I'm going to take 2020 out of it in terms of, talking about that even. I want you to watch this. What's the bigger story to me here? We're always told that demographics is destiny. Liberalism is on the rise. And look at this crap. Right. They're in 2024 pulling the same number of votes. Do you know what's on the rise? We are the majority. We're always told we're not. Look at our numbers. Trump saved the Republican Party from abysmal death. And it is now coming up. He popped up here. He popped up more here. Look, conservatism is what's on the rise. That's what's on the rise. They're flatlining, people. Do you guys get it? Does everybody in the chat get this? They are flatliners.
Well, okay, but Neil, 81 million.
Gender crap. Nobody wants, everybody wants voter ID. Okay. 86% of America wants voter ID. Okay. Right. Parents don't want their kids being indoctrinated in the schools. They want them to learn reading, writing, arithmetic. That's what they want them to learn. And instead, we've got this crap going on. So this wokeism, DEI, all these hires based upon your race, your sex, your sexual orientation, that's not what America wants. And it's shown right in that graph.
Well, but Neil, 81 million. Yeah. They got 81 million votes. So I saw like a graph of different demographics and how Trump performed in counties that had over 25% black populations. He performed like 4 points better. Hispanic 25%, he performed 8 points better. With brown voters in general, he just performed better. I think he got like almost 40% of the black male vote in Texas. So Texas, the purple state. I know, Joshua. The black people, us, we're making strides. So it's, and then you just see all the numbers across the board, and it's like, where is this energy they're talking about? Because he performed better in Fulton County, in Philadelphia, and the surrounding areas around Philadelphia with every demographic, and yet somehow we're the minority. We're at this point, they are proving themselves to be the oblivious minority, the crazy ones, right? We're the populists here. We're the ones that bring everyone in. Trump has to be credited for this, because Republicans spent years saying he wasn't electable. Oh, he's not electable. His rhetoric brought us RFK Jr., Elon Musk, Vivek Army, and all these, real ballers now.
Correct. 100%, George.
And I like the way Trump said it. He goes, I'm putting RFK in charge of Make America Healthy Again, but I'm not going to let him touch the oil.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a coalition.
He was honest. He was honest. He was like, yeah, I like what he says in this. I don't like what he says in this, but we can still work together.
Trump's greatest trait is he's not pandering to everybody to get their votes. Now, I want to show you guys something, because I promised this earlier, and Heather, we had talked about it, so I got to start showing a few meltdown clips, okay? If you want to stick around for it, Joshua, you can. If you have to get going, feel free to. But I'm going to start with, and I think this is actually an indictment of the media, that we are at this point that people actually think this way. So this one is not as funny as the media meltdowns, which I'll share with you too. But this is just liberals on TikTok freaking out. And I cut a bunch of them out of there because these people can't say anything other than cuss words, okay? It's crazy. These people are whacked, all right? This is a mental disorder. This is demonic possession or something. Watch this.
How did we get here?
Oh,
How did we get here?
usual suspect.
What in the Alice in Wonderland nightmares is going on right now?
I chose family. I chose women. I chose America. I love you.
Is this still happening? All I've ever known politically is hatred.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done.
What is
I'm
it?
done with you. I'm done with you and your mother and your sister. I'm just done with all of this.
This is like tearing up families. No, I mean, we're laughing at this. Okay, I understand, but get the fact. The cat came back.
I can't take you seriously.
I know. I'm serious. Do you understand that the school system and the media has indoctrinated these people so bad?
That was not funny. That last kid, that was disturbing.
It was.
I mean, that's a whole nother level of. I mean, that might just be funny. I mean,
Josh, that was so funny. Heather's black. Like that. that was so funny. She turned.
I have to get one to send to Neil. Neil, I'm gonna text it to you.
Okay, sounds good. Let's drop another clip in here. They're having moments of reflection on Morning Joe. This is wild.
Ooh, okay.
Discussion here about how Democrats lost this, but I just got a text from a member of Congress saying, something else we need to look at is how people are turning to social media, podcasts, and other non-traditional sources for their news, and also news stations that aren't news. And I canvassed in all of the battlegrounds. I was shocked by the amount of misinformation voters were truly repeating back to me. Truly shocked. I do believe this is what caused the collapse of the Democrats nationwide. You cannot win when people believe lies.
But I
think that's fair too.
We are the news, baby. They just admitted it. Look,
Yeah.
people are turning to podcasts like this and actually getting a different perspective, and that's costing them the election. And I want to make a big point here, George, because in spite of every single mainstream media station running the narrative that that Donald Trump is Hitler, he's a Nazi, his supporters are Nazi, they're garbage, you name it, you're all a bunch of racist pigs, everything. In spite of all of that 24/7 news cycle crap, we managed to penetrate that. Do you guys understand what a big deal that is? Elon Musk buying X quite possibly saved the republic, because if Elon Musk hadn't bought X, I guarantee you things would have only gotten worse on YouTube as well, because they're forced to face competition in the marketplace in the free idea, the free and open information flow in a meritocracy. The best ideas float to the top, and the best ideas are taking down MSNBC. I'm so excited about that clip, guys. I can't hardly stand it.
Well, did you see what she said? We cannot win when people believe lies.
They think we're lying.
That's the truth. That was exactly the truth. They can't win because they believe lies. Like she said it meaning towards us, but she actually said the truth. We cannot win when the people believe lies. And that's what they need to face. Hey, maybe we need to start looking at what's actually going on and actually start telling the truth. Hey, maybe if we tell the truth, we'll actually have a fair election. We'll actually get some people in here. They don't want America to succeed. They're already rich. The more people see, when you're super rich, the more broke people you are, the better it is for you, because you can buy people. If you cost $10 an hour, or I can get you for $5 an hour, $5 an hour is better for me. It's not better for you, but it's better for me. And that's what they're thinking. The cheaper people get, the richer they get. If I've got $100 million in the bank and you're making 25 grand a year, well, I can pay you 30 and get you to do about anything. If I pay you 50, and they have that mentality that they're the master and you're the slave. And that's the way they literally think. But they're the good guys because of racism and stuff. But
they virtue signal.
They virtue signal. They want the old democratic ways of we're the master and you're the slave. You're the servant. We're the king. You're the peasant. That's the way it's always been through all of recorded history until America, where everybody's equal. America is a phenomenon that's never been seen before. And that's what people don't realize. They keep saying America's a racist nation. How so? There is still a little bit of racism, but it's mostly with the very elderly. And they're usually kind, not always, but it's not like go anywhere in the world and see racism. I mean, if you have an accent in some countries and you were born there, but you went to college in America and have a little bit of an accent, they'll treat you like garbage. I mean, most places are really, really, really racist.
Yeah. It's funny you say that though, but there is other racism too. I've literally had this group when I think it was Angela Stanton King got into it with R.C. Maxwell, who used to work for Project Veritas. R.C. and his wife and Angela at some RFK Trump rally got into it, and she posted something about them. So in the comments section, I just said that doesn't sound like them. I know RC and his wife. It doesn't sound like their character. And all of a sudden, all these women started commenting this white, blah, 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 blah. She can't comment. She did it was the nastiest thing I've ever read. But it was towards me for being white.
Yeah.
So I'm that's racism, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. But for them to be this girl can't comment and share her opinion because of her skin color, that is literally the definition of racism. So I think that's something that people need to talk about as well, because that exists too.
Well, it totally exists. You sent me this, Heather. You wanted me to pull this in?
Yeah. That's one of my favorite movies. So when I saw this, that was hysterical.
Okay. How do you? There was no play button on this, so it's just when does it hit?
Please don't, Brennan.
I'm going to throw up. I think I'm going to throw
Don't
up.
throw up.
The nice dinner that I had, I'm going to throw it up.
Nah, come on.
Please
Heather,
don't.
are you trying to disgust me? You're ruining my appetite. I didn't know that was where that was going. I thought they were.
I didn't know where it was going. Heather just asked me to bring it in, and I'm sorry, George.
Heather has a very innocent sense of humor. You have a very innocent sense of humor. If you wanted me to do that video, me and Neil could make it really dark. You know, we'd make it really weird.
Yeah, but have you guys seen that movie?
No,
I don't even know what that is.
What?
Yeah. What?
Josh,
No,
help me out here. Have
Josh.
you seen that movie?
You have it right.
I have no idea what it is.
Exactly.
Wow.
Heather.
Oh my God.
This is
We're
some
gonna
white
pull in the
girl
view.
Wait, guys, in the chat, let me know if you've seen that movie.
They haven't either. Chat.
What
You
is
haven't
it?
seen it.
Has
But they
anybody
have seen
that
the
movie?
view. They've seen the view, Heather. Like
Of the voters. In this,
There
I
we
have to
go.
say, I've always thought he could win. I thought in the final stretch she might eke it out. I didn't expect it to be this resounding, and I think there are some lessons from it. I think we forget about rural America. I think the working class feels left behind. They feel like the powerful, the elite only care about them and their power. And he spoke to them. We may not have liked his
I'm going
words,
back.
so the elite only.
Look at Joy's face.
Joyless
Look at
Reed.
these ladies.
Look, there's a lot of people in the comments. I'm looking at it now. A lot of people have seen it.
Hey,
Step.
chat. You have not seen that movie.
Thank God. I cannot believe I'm alone here on a panel with really
No,
people that have
see,
not
it's a
seen
white
it.
girl movie. All of us here
care
are
about
black
them
men.
and their power. And he spoke to them. We may not have liked his words, but they turned out for him. I mean, the map was, it was beyond Reagan what we saw last night. And I think we need to start listening.
Hold on, did you catch it? She
It's
said it was
beyond
beyond Reagan, and Joy Behar was in the back. Not really. I'm going to tell you why it was bigger than Reagan.
More about the concerns of everyday Americans who feel like this system is failing.
When Reagan won, so she's going to go on and talk about. Do you know something? I'm a big fan of Reagan. You who watch my show know this. And yes, he had the biggest electoral landslide of all time. Okay, but he also, and he did. The press hated Reagan. But it was not every day calling him a Nazi. It was not after this much indoctrination in the schools.
Right.
Okay, so as much as I love Reagan, what happened last night, winning the popular votes for the first time since Bush in 2004 for a Republican, and sweeping the Electoral College in the manner in which he did, completely destroying the blue wall again, is bigger than Reagan for this moment in time.
Oh, yeah. For sure. For sure.
And he's the first president since who to win non-consecutive terms?
Grover Cleveland.
Grover Cleveland. Grover
I think it's Grover Cleveland.
Yeah, but technically he won 3 consecutive terms.
I got it.
Well, you know, Neil, so I was driving the first time in my life I really felt the aura of rural America was when I was driving back from Bozeman, Montana. It was in the middle of the day, and Professor Clements had an event in Wyoming, some small town in Wyoming.
Yes.
And it was like a local high school, and he was doing his movie and talking about election integrity. I dropped by, and I walk into this building. There's about 50 like old people there, and a few of them are like, "Oh, George, man, what's up?" I'm just like, okay, they watch me in Wyoming here, and I just talked to a few of them, and I was asking them like, hey, while I was driving past here, I noticed a lot of factories that were closed down, just the depletion of the industrial state in the United States. And they were explaining to me that that's a big problem. That's rural America has been completely forgotten by the national political scene. DC,
100%.
That song, Richmond North of Richmond.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the title, right? That's I mean, technically in Wyoming it would be like, Richmond east of something, but it just captures the feeling on the ground. People feel like the politicians have abandoned them because they have. Their factories that used to make things, those things are now being made in Mexico and in Taiwan. Look, people say we need to protect Taiwan. For what, man? For what? They took our semiconductor industry. Why would we protect them? I just think that's why Trump speaks to them, because his entire policy platform is we're going to bring what made your communities great back here. so you can build something and look forward to something and contribute to society. And also, people just have this view that, rural America is just perfect. But that's where a lot of fentanyl is. That's where a lot of the drugs go. A lot of meth, all these things, because people don't have destinies to look up to. It's just so sad. It was so sad. So I can't wait for the next 4 years. Like Joshua was saying, we need to get back to drill, baby, drill, because that fixes a lot of things. It fixes the housing affordability crisis. It fixes the food prices, the transportation crisis. I spoke to truckers who told me everything's just more expensive now than ever. Diesel's very, very expensive. So I just, my heart sings. Oh, Heather, what's going on? You got Internet Explorer or something? What's going on?
I'm using my phone, so I have to keep flipping over and sending Neil funny things.
Well, Heather, okay, Neil,
I open my
show one of the funny things. Just show it right now. It better be funny, Heather. It better be the most hilarious thing.
I like
ever.
the Babylon B one. Do the Babylon B one.
Just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do things. It's called garbage can. Garbage cannot.
Nah. Hey, Joshua, don't laugh at that. Don't do this. Heather, that's you?
No, do the Babylon B one. Do the Babylon B one.
This is funny. The Babylon B one's hilarious, George. You're going to like this one. They tried to warn us. Trump gives victory speech.
Okay, that one's funny. That one's funny. But Heather, come on.
Why?
You mean to tell me you found that garbage can one funny?
Yes.
I found it funny.
I'm mom, so I like dad jokes. I feel like.
I'm sorry, George. I'm with her on this one, bro. Sorry.
No.
And not garbage cannot.
No. Look how that sounds.
All right. Hey, I got to give a quick word. A quick ad. I got to drop a quick ad in here. Watch this, guys. This is a professional spokesman doing a great ad.
Mike Lindau.
So we're out here hunting elk, and I'm telling you, it's grueling. I mean, up the mountain, down the mountain, up the mountain, down the mountain, isn't it, boys? It's rough, man. And you're looking for some energy, but you're also looking for a little comfort. Oh, my coffee. This stuff is the best coffee I've ever had. I didn't even know the guy. I didn't even know Mike Lindell had a coffee thing. And then all of a sudden he had it and I tried it. Now I can't leave home without it. It's like my MyPillow. So go to mystore.com or mypillow.com. Use promo code Lumberjack to get pillows or coffee. This stuff is the best.
Man, you are a national treasure, you know? You could sell anything. Joshua, aren't you just wanting to order coffee right now?
Actually, yes. I'm looking forward to the cup I drink tomorrow. So, so George, I wanted to say something about that Richmond, north of Richmond comment you made earlier. I will always remember that because I was getting mail from the Patriot Mail Project pretty regularly when I was in there. And right after that song came out, I had about 5 different people sent me the lyrics on a piece of paper, like they wrote it in. And I didn't get to hear the song until I got out, but like it was going around the prison. Like, hey, have you heard of this song? Like nobody had heard it, you know, because it was only on the internet, but it was like almost everybody in the prison knew it. They were like, hey, Josh, have you heard that song? I'm like, no, have you? They're like, no, well, we can't get it, but I've heard about it. Like people, like it was being talked about, even though nobody in the prison had heard the song. Wow. And it became a top 40, basically, probably the most famous song that nobody had ever heard. Like it was funny, but I like, hey, I got the lyrics, and everybody's like, oh, can I borrow that? You know, like it became a hot item. I probably could have traded it for some food if I'd have been, you know, selfish enough. But like it went around the prison, like people were talking about it. It was it struck a chord. And there were so many good men in that prison. There was a lot of bad ones, but there was so many good men in that prison. It's just sad about how our government was just like they always win, and it doesn't matter whether you're guilty or not. There was There's a guy in there for manslaughter charges and a race crime, and he didn't even do it. He was a prison guard, and some of the other guards beat a dude up, And then he went over there because he got the call, and he was overweight, and he was all the way on the other side of the building. He says, well, I wasn't going to run because I wouldn't been worth anything when I got there. And when they got there, the guy that had beat the guy up beat him almost to death. And he says, we got to carry him back to the hospital section or the doctor or whatever. And so he helps the guy because the guy says, I can't carry him no more. So he helps the guy carry him. And the other two guys that killed the guy blamed him for it. And he went to prison. And he didn't even do anything but carry him to the guy wound up dying. But he says, I wasn't even there. They got evidence I wasn't there, but they lost the evidence. So he was convicted of a crime because the other two guys wound up working for a senator. They were friends with the senator. They had rank, they had connections, they had political power, and he didn't. And he happened to be on the scene, and they got him on camera helping the guy to the hospital section or the doctor's office or whatever. And so because they were connected and they had political weight, he got 20-something years in prison. And they had to put him in a low security prison because he had been a prison guard. And they said it was a hate crime because the guy was black. He goes, I didn't even know the guy. He's like the only time I'd ever talked to him, he seemed okay to me. Like he wasn't a troublemaker. They just went in there and whooped up on him because they could. And then he winds up dying from it, and they pinned it on him. And I heard him tell the story probably 15 times to about 12 different people. And every time he told the story, he was painting a picture because I wasn't at the building, but he was describing it. And by the time he had got done telling the story the 15th time, I pretty much had a good picture of the building in my mind from the story he told. But every time he told the story, it was the same, except for, one time it'd be the third pillar and another time it was the third or fourth pillar. It was that kind of discrepancy. It wasn't, I might have done it. Like, well, I could have done it. But he told the story over and over. And you can't lie that well to where you tell the story.
You're already in jail. He's already in jail. So,
so he would have been better off. He'd have been better off saying, I killed the guy. I whooped him because I'm so tough. Like, that would have been smart.
I want to know who the senator was.
I don't know. I didn't. I'm going to ask Trump for a pardon for him. So I'm not going to bring it up until then. But I'm a fairly good judge of character, and there's about 4 or 5 guys in there that are actually innocent, and then there's probably 15 or 20 guys who confessed they were guilty and they deserve to be there, but they need to be pardoned because they're not the person who committed the crime. There's some of them got saved. One guy didn't get saved, but he wasn't a Christian, but he was innocent. And then there was another guy who was like, I don't want a pardon because I sold meth and I could have killed people. I was a horrible, selfish person. I don't deserve to be pardoned. That guy needs to be pardoned because he's guilty of his crime and he's repentant.
Let's keep him in there a little bit, man.
Well, hold on, I gotta kind of move this along because I got a couple more clips I gotta get through, and I want to actually share this because we've kind of shared some liberal meltdowns and everything.
Hold on, are these Heather clips? Because we're gonna have to put a disclaimer.
No. I got a great song here. I want to show you something that happened on the streets of Manhattan. This was apparently today. I saw it a couple places, and the one person who shared it, I feel pretty trustworthy that this actually was today on the streets of Manhattan. So watch this. So, what's interesting is we saw that. We also saw a song break out just outside Trump Victory headquarters, singing praises to the Lord. It's just beautiful. I'm going to bring in my next view clip. I want you guys to watch this. This is I think the best.
You came prepared.
Oh yeah.
I'm obviously very disappointed. I'm very sad. I was at the Kamala Harris headquarters yesterday in Washington, and it was a very sad scene. The mood turned immediately.
I just love that. And here now I got to bring in good old Whoopi, but I just had to get a sad scene, folks. I mean, we're all celebrating, and it's bad for him.
Think about this.
rally.
She did this in 2 months.
Yeah.
She did this in 2 months.
She left it all on the field.
You know,
Yes, she
look,
did.
She left it all on the field.
everybody
Why are
can
they
always
treating
say,
her like
she
some
should have done this,
underdog?
she should have done this, she did what she did. She was everywhere. She talked to everybody, and people didn't come out. I don't know why, and it doesn't even matter. He's now the president. I'm still not going to say his name.
Not going to say his name.
Why are they pretending like she was some underdog? They raised $1 billion for her, and they gave her 90% positive media coverage and the opposite, negative, for Trump.
Right.
And they're pretending like she was some underdog. No, she had the entire system, all the celebrity. Taylor Swift, all she does is sing mediocre songs. She endorsed.
Hey, she sings songs about choosing the wrong person.
She left it all on the field. Why was she not showing up at rallies in these key states when Trump was out there just hitting it 3-4 times a day? His last rally finishing up at 2 a.m.
Hitting it 3 or 4 times a day, Neil, just not at rallies.
Hey guys, Taylor Swift sings songs about choosing the wrong person.
Yes,
that's literally it. That's
hilarious that you have like J-Lo, Taylor Swift, all these other celebrities come out and endorse Kamala, and she's still lost.
They're afraid of the Diddy list coming out and the Epstein list coming out. A lot of these people are going to leave America. I believe that everybody on the Diddy list and they're going to take their money and they're going to fly to another country.
Yeah, but you know what's really funny is every celebrity that came out and endorsed her, they would turn off the comments on their Instagram posts. That's like that your endorsement means nothing and Americans don't care what you have to say. Like, if anything, turn it off because it's going to be full of criticism. And that's what happened. So on Twitter, when they would endorse, and you looked at the comments, like when J-Lo endorsed, and it made it on Twitter, all of the comments were pictures of her with Diddy, because apparently she used to date him way back when. So it was like all of the comments were like, oh, you stayed quiet about Diddy and you didn't warn Americans about Diddy, but now you're trying to warn Americans about Trump. Isn't that interesting? So it's funny to see these A-list celebrities that supposedly have so much power and influence endorsing a political candidate while censoring their comments section and being ripped on platforms like X. So clearly the influence that they think they have, they actually don't.
Yeah,
they do not. And here, George, this is from Kanakoa. You'll appreciate this. You probably saw this. Kanakoa is a great follow on X, but in 2016, there was no peaceful transition of power. Folks, if you think that we're not in for some rough days ahead, you're missing it. I mean, let's take our celebration and everything, but the reality is this is what's coming. There was no peaceful transition of power.
Well, it depends on what the Biden camp wants to do, because ultimately they can decide we're not going to help Kamala, pull off mechanisms to stop Trump. We don't like her. So I don't think they like her. I don't think the Biden family likes the fact that she embarrassed their, godfather politics. So they might just cooperate with Trump. I mean, Joe Biden wore a Trump hat and Joe Biden wore red. She wore red on election day. She knew what she was doing, right? She didn't wake up and go, I'm going to wear red for no reason. She was trying to signal something.
Yep.
You know what concerns me, though? Like, so as somebody that was on the ground in Georgia in 2020 and like going into 2024, like I thought there was going to be way more scandals, and it was almost like too good, right? Like
they did not want to cheat for her. Like they didn't.
Yeah, but like
they don't like her that much.
Like, so I feel like
everybody was watching.
Well, I feel like that could be the case, but the way that in the aftermath, like within the last 24 hours, like Barack Obama's coming out congratulating him, Kamala's conceding, and they're trying to paint this like, oh yes, let's just respect the election outcome. I feel like they're trying to take this, like there's something sinister at play. I don't know exactly what it is, but what I think is they're going to try to pretend like they have this righteous, grand
moral high ground.
We accepted it, and then all of a sudden, what you showed earlier, where they're like, "What happened to all these votes? Are they going to try claiming some sort of election theft, and then now there's riots breaking out in Chicago. Not riots, but like these protests. I don't think it's turned violent yet, but there is a big crowd in Chicago right now protesting.
I don't
Trump
think that's going to happen because
Yeah.
she said, she explicitly said Trump won. Congratulations to Trump. She can't now come out and say, nah, he didn't win.
Well, she could be like, oh, well, new intelligence is suggesting they may have cheated.
I'm with George. I mean, and I think we can postulate.
Yay,
and come up with
he's
all
at
these
the black people.
I'm at the black people. That's right. And I just think, I think that this win was a little too resounding. Had it been weaker, had the win been not what it was,
right,
then there could have been something. But I think this, and I'm finishing this, Heather. I'm finishing this can of cola thing. Okay. Yeah, when he said that there was no peaceful transition of power, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and the Democratic Party weaponized the FBI, DOJ, and the legacy media to frame Donald Trump as a Russian agent. That is all what happened. Now, what's interesting is they don't need Joe Biden to do that because the DOJ will do it anyways. So we have this deep state apparatus, okay? I mean, these are the people who talk, very fine people. Joe Biden was sharp as a tack. You can go on. This is a great write-up on X, okay?
Yes,
and I think I'll make sure I repost this actually right now. There you go. So if you guys want to follow on X, it's just at Neil E. Johnson. You can go find this post, but watch this.
Bombshell report. White House is slamming a bombshell report by BuzzFeed.
The bombshell report from BuzzFeed.
The BuzzFeed bombshell is true.
Bombshell report. The Russians had compromising videos of Donald Trump watching prostitutes urinate on a bed in the Moscow Ritz-Carlton presidential suite.
Donald Trump engaged in perverted acts with prostitutes.
In reality, A, a bunch of the dossier has proven to be true. B, the FBI and the CIA have reportedly validated parts of it as true.
Investigators have corroborated part of the dossier.
It has been corroborated by the intelligence community.
U.S. investigators have corroborated some of the allegations in that dossier.
We do know that parts of it have been corroborated.
The president was compromised by a hostile foreign government, full stop.
Possibility, very real possibility, that President Putin holds damaging information over President Trump.
What do the Russians have on Donald Trump? Politically, personally, or financially?
But it hasn't been discredited. In fact, it's been the opposite. It's been corroborated. Much of the dossier has been corroborated.
This discredited dossier
It hasn't been discredited. Your intel community has corroborated all of the details in there.
A golden shower tape involving prostitutes. Golden shower.
Infamous compromise tape referred to in the dossier. Russian prostitutes and that other thing.
Russians had a so-called P tape.
The P tape. That tape.
This is unreal.
Stuff in the hotel room in Russia.
The Steele dossier. The Steele dossier.
Does everybody remember this?
What's in the Steele
I don't
dossier?
even remember these specific allegations.
It didn't happen. Despite the president's dismissals of the dossier, sources say it is gaining increasing credibility in both the intelligence community.
It wasn't credible
and Congress.
at all.
Some of it we did corroborate in the ICA. And of course, it appears that more of it has been corroborated.
Many of the things
People need to go to jail.
were
They do.
true.
When the president just refers to it as fake dossier, that is false.
I don't think that's the accurate characterization for the entirety of the dossier.
I don't know whether the current president of the United States was with prostitutes peeing on each other in Moscow in 2013. It's possible.
It's possible. You piece of garbage, man. That guy needs to be tried for
I
treason.
know. Now, I just, again, this is why when we talk about, this being bigger than Reagan, in a sense it is, just because the lies weren't this strong. And what you need to understand is that people bought into this. I know people who still think this is true.
Yeah.
I know people who still think this is true.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Well, the Bible says something about people not being able to see the truth. Talks about people that will believe what's good is evil and what's evil is good. This was all prophesied by Jesus himself. This was going to happen. People cannot see the truth. They don't want to see the truth because they hate righteousness. They hate what is right and good. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And whoever's for that is for the wrong God. The God of this world came to blind the minds of those that believe not. That's what he does. That's like strategy number one. He hasn't changed because it always works. Until you receive the Holy Spirit, you can't see what the devil's doing. You want to blame it on this or that or the other, but the devil hates your guts and wants to kill you. Jesus wants to save you and give you eternal life. You have to make a choice. But if you choose Jesus, you can't live a hedonistic lifestyle of selfishness. You know, that's what this has nothing to do with politics. This is spiritual warfare. Trump, I wouldn't elect him to be my pastor, but I would elect him to be my president because he's not the definition of righteousness, but he stands for a righteous government. He stands for the truth, righteousness, and justice. I trust him to do what is right before I trust any of the Democrats. You know, I wish that he was an adamant, Jesus is my Lord and Savior, and I will follow him with every breath I breathe. That's what I want to hear him say.
Well,
but if he doesn't
most
say
politicians that would say that are
liars. I know.
Yeah, liars. So
exactly.
At least Trump came out and he basically said, "I'm not a perfect Christian." So, no, Heather, we got to stop doing this. But going back to something.
This is funny. Sleep well, middle finger. You got a big day ahead of you tomorrow. Anyways, George. But I can't help myself.
I got to deal with these two kids. You know, me and Josh are the only adults in the room.
Right.
So Joshua brought up a really good point that the devil's plot is to twist what is good and make it evil or make it appear evil. But it goes to Heather's point that the people doing this are going to keep doing it. They're going to keep pulling he was with Russia hoax. They're going to keep accusing him of these absolutely outrageous things if we don't bring in accountability. We have to introduce accountability. Barack Obama committed treason when he ordered the spying of an incoming president of the United States. He undermined the office of president by doing that. That's not a lighthearted thing. It's not retribution. It's not revenge. It's just enacting justice as it should be. It's executing the laws of the United States as prescribed by the Constitution. So if someone breaks the law, look at the border people. They broke the law by opening the border wide and not enforcing immigration law. That's a violation of the law. So they should be charged with treason against the United States. You know, why are you laughing while we're having the serious conversation? Did Heather send you another cat meme?
Okay. You know what's funny is I just talked to him earlier today. That's what makes this even more funny to me. I just talked to him.
Show it to us. Let's see if it's that.
It's classic. Okay, wait. Is it what's the number on this? Hold on,
guys.
0024.
I'm not kidding you. I called Neil earlier today, and I read off a tweet I put out, and Neil read the tweet, and then he bursted out laughing, like on the phone, and I was just like, "Wow, Neil, this is not that funny, man. This tweet is okay, you know." Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I just realized that's Kamala. Yeah, that's funny. Heather,
I just talked to Adam. I just talked to him. Funny. Actually, he was like, I invited him on the show too, and he had to. He's like, Neil, I gotta hit the hay. I haven't slept in 36 hours. He's like, I gotta go to bed. So
I like that one. That one's funny.
Right.
That was the best one.
Got one with George's approval.
1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. Because it's like you're on a losing streak, but you just like canceled it with that one. So.
That guy did a lot better media production than I did. You know, he's the lectern guy, and then you had the guy with the horns. I'm the guy that got shot in the face. Like, how do you sell that? How do you make memes of that? Like, you can't, let me get some blood and some open wounds. Like
black guy. You could have said
a big nasty wounded like that. It don't sell. Like the lectern guy, he's got endless jokes. You're the horn guy. There's all kind of stuff he can do. What have I got? You
got a bloody cheek, my friend.
You could have been the black guy. You could have been you could have been the black man shot by white supremacists.
Right.
They wouldn't have known it was your last name, but they would have just like seen the title and.
Well, it would be true because I am a black guy.
Yeah, you are a black.
Nobody can deny that. It's written right there on the screen. You know? So
you could have really sold that, but you're right. I mean, you can't really sell getting shot in the face, and you know, it's not like a cool shot like Trump. You know, just whisk and pow.
Right.
You just got shot with plastic. You know, you got shot with plastic surgery, basically. You know.
Well, it knocked me silly. So when I stood up, I was like, Somebody asked me a question. And I was like, blood, sweat, and tears. God bless America. Like, there's a video of it, and I laugh when I watch it because I was like, I remember how I was like, I wasn't even sure what was going on, you know, because it rung my bell pretty hard. Like it was like a pretty good punch to the face. It was full of sand. It was heavy. Like it was.
Josh, I just looked you up online. This is the first thing that came up. This is wild. Knife wielding January 6th rioter Joshua Matthew Black sentenced. You never wielded a knife.
No, I had one on my hip.
You should sue these people for defamation.
Ooh, yeah, do it, Josh.
We should get a hold of an attorney that, this is here, guys. This is there's the mark on his cheek from the you can see it there. Okay, that's Joshua right there. That's out of the New York Post.
Yeah, send in that article. Screenshot that article. Document it so they don't pull it down.
Wait, when did they write this? Because they might say the statute of limitations, you know. You didn't bring it in time. So clearly it didn't hurt you.
Well, he just discovered the article on today, so therefore.
Heather, we got to put you on a task mission or something.
There he is. Look at that.
You can ask questions. Right. Oh, that's so sad. Man, one thing I want is prison reform. Prison should be prison, not, a vehicle for corruption. It should just be prison. You go, serve your time and leave. And then in Colorado, I have some family members who, they work as prison guards somewhere. No, not family members, family friends. And they were telling me the prisoners get a nice bed, they get the internet, they, sleep, they get 3 meals a day. And then you're telling me you walk into a Capitol that you own, by the way, and they just shot you in the face. And now you get to serve 11 months in solitary confinement for the most part. But they don't call it solitary confinement. It's just crazy. So vindication is what I want for you. I want Trump to sign an order freeing all the J6ers and also granting some kind of award for them. Political prisoners award. Just give it to them,
Yeah. And expunge their records. So, if you got some crazy cop, who pulls up to their house, they don't see it on the record. They're already using social media posts and everything to flag you as green, low threat, yellow, orange, red, and that changes how the cops show up at your door. I want it expunged from all their records.
You know what I want? One thing that I really want. I don't necessarily know how to achieve it other than just building
a good sense of humor.
No, I have a great sense of humor.
No,
George, I have a great sense of humor, George.
I'm gonna be praying for you, Heather. We gonna get you out of these dad jokes and into like.
I love dad jokes. We just gotta get you a baby, and then they'll make sense.
Better get him a wife first.
Yeah, maybe I'm just behind in life. Do
you know what happened to George the other night on the live stream with our band reunion, Heather? Marcus D was pegging him down, wondering if he had a girlfriend. I knew it would get him out. It happened on our live stream. Marcus D's like, George, come on, man. You got to tell me right now. Are you dating someone? Are you? Marcus wouldn't back off either. He would not back.
Did he just dip out because you brought that up?
Totally. I knew it would happen too, but I just had to. Oh, because he can't handle the heat, Heather. He can't handle dad jokes or the heat about whether or not he's got a lady friend. He doesn't want anybody to know.
I thank God that I'm married, because if I had to go date in today's like dating economy, oh my gosh. Like, thank God you're married, Neil. Like, I mean, if I had to go shopping for a bride right now, my goodness. Like what are your choices? You know?
You got to wonder if they're actually a woman. It's just
right.
Yeah, I had a friend that was in the military, and he went to LA, and him and his buddies were fresh out of boot camp looking for girls. And he's walking behind this girl who had a great body. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go talk to her." He goes up and talks to her, and it was a dude had a big, huge Adam's apple. He's like,
Neil, I'm not happy with Kerry Lake's election, man.
Yeah, that's we do need to talk about this. Actually, this is important.
What happened?
Well, so Heather, they're doing this thing in Maricopa County where they don't run a fair election. So they're giving us like 100,000 votes every 5 hours. And so I was watching Charlie Kirk's stream, so he'll know this stuff because he's plugged in. So the way they're counting is they're counting from the earliest ballots received till the latest ballot. So from the first day of early voting, so they counted mail-in ballots, and then the first day of early voting, then the second day of early, and then all the way to Tuesday yesterday. So instead of just counting the ballots, they're doing this stupid process where they count them from the day received. So then they drop them, like they announce them like a movie.
Counting them?
Huh?
Are they hand counting them or machine?
No, never. Well, I think they have a law where they have to count the totals in batches and record them, so there's no discrepancy with the machines. It was the law of the or the rule the SEB in Georgia tried to implement, but the courts overturned that. But Maricopa County is probably going to take a week. And then another thing is the curing. So, bad signatures or whatever, they're going to, call voters, and there's a whole effort from Turning Point to get those ballots cured. And it's really not that many ballots. So that's not the reason they're not counting correctly or quickly enough. It's because they're doing this medieval process where they're counting ballots, based on the days they came in. But what they're saying on Turning Point is that as the vote dumps, keep going, Kerry Lake is going to improve. And, I did see that with the latest drop, because she improved by a lot in Maricopa County. It was like 50-50 basically. So, and then there's a bunch of red counties that are still like 50%, 60%, 70% recording. So she has a lot of outstanding votes in those areas. Whereas like Ruben Gallego only has like 3 areas where he can get votes. So my hope is that Trump wins Arizona by like 8 points and Kerry wins her seat by 1 or 2. It might happen. It can still happen, but I don't know. It's 50-50. So that's why.
George, the curing of the ballots will be very simple for Maricopa County. Every voter who voted for Kerry Lake or Donald Trump will need to be ran through the process. And everybody that voted for the Democrats, they're fine.
Yeah.
So that's probably because every vote that gets cured will be a Republican vote.
Well, do you guys see what's happening right now in Milwaukee? They said in Milwaukee the turnout was like 89%, but in 2020 it was like 74%. But the problem is the turnout's down universally. So did they just introduce those mail-in ballots to give the Democrat, the Senate race, Tammy Baldwin? I don't know. I just think I think they took that thing from Eric Hovde. It's going to take an audit to know for sure. But I'm not feeling good about it.
Well, I hope that's something that happens. I hope that's something that happens. I do want to get to, really this is the, he's gone, folks. I mean, and he's now looking for his exit strategy.
I just realized just how much Neil looks like Jack Smith.
No, I look like Don Jr. I've been told that. No one's ever told me I look like Jack
No,
Smith.
I'm seeing it, the white hair coming. I make fun of Brian for being old, but I need to start switching that on you, Neil. We gotta switch targets over here, man.
Oh man, well,
look at this piece of garbage. He was never appointed legally.
Never.
I'm so glad Judge Cannon dismissed the case. She didn't even bother with, presidential immunity or any other, major law question. She just went to, what does the law say about appointing, special prosecutors? Did he follow that law to be appointed? No.
Oh,
he's fired.
It's so easy. It's so easy if you just, apply the law equally to people. And then understand too that you have certain discretions when you're applying the law. And I guess I want to kind of bring this show to a close here. We've been on an hour and 24 minutes, but to bring it to a close, Joshua, I wonder if just I'm going to start with you to close out the show. And I want you to just in a couple quick minutes, I want you to compare January 6th to Trump's inauguration. Okay. And how are those people were treated so differently, or we could even go to the church that Trump held up the Bible at, and so on. I mean, there's so many examples, but just pick parallel the two. Talk about equal application of justice. You got 2 minutes. Go.
The May 29th, 2020, they burnt down one of the buildings at the White House. They broke into the building. They forced the president into a bunker. They burned a church, not down, but they set a historic church. I think it was St. John's Church. They called it the President's Church. They set it on fire. And then Trump sent the police out because they were burning the town down. They called him a bunker baby. They made fun of him for being a coward because he went into the bunker. Okay, on January 6th, a bunch of people went into the building, and all the congressmen and senators that were evacuated were heroes. All the people on May 29th, most of them that were arrested got paid from D.C. from a lawsuit because excessive force was used. Everybody on the media was lambasting the police because they were so cruel by obstructing these people from exercising their First Amendment right. On January 6th, the cops were praised, and they were praised for their excellent work. The difference is it's black and white, night and day. It's as different as it can be. The criminals on May 29th were the protesters, and the criminals on May 29th was the cops, and the criminals on January 6th was the protesters.
Wow.
The same exact actions almost, except we didn't burn anything down. We didn't threaten to kill people. Well, some people, I don't know for sure, but we didn't kill anybody. They heard about, it was like 180 more cops were hurt on May 29th than were hurt on January 6th. Nobody cared. Most people haven't even, my lawyer, I told him about it, and he goes, "What are you talking about?" He had no idea it even happened because most people don't even know it even happened. They lit a historic church on fire, and then Trump goes out there. The mayor sent the cops out there and pushed the protesters back because they were lighting buildings on fire. And the media got out and said he used tear gas on peaceful protesters because he's a racist. He goes out there and holds the Bible up, and he says, "Look, we're not going to let this town be destroyed from violence. You don't have a right to be violent." And they attacked him and said he was doing that for a photo op, that he sprayed tear gas on these peaceful protesters because he's a violent racist. It's exactly the opposite. They took the same, almost an identical situation, and they framed one as the protesters were heroes and the cops were evil, and the other one, the protesters were evil and the cops were heroes. They hate cops or they love cops, depending on the situation. It's just they don't have a clear. They don't have. See, like May 29th, I said that was wrong. January 6th, there was a lot of wrong done. I have a differing opinion, but it was. The cops were shooting mace into the crowd. They were shooting tear gas into the crowd. But I figured, okay, they shot me in the face. I didn't deserve it. But there was a couple of guys standing near me that probably did. There was one guy. Well, I don't know who they were. They weren't Trump supporters. One guy was wearing a blue sweatshirt. And I've seen him in probably 40 minutes of combined video of him starting fights with cops. Like, that's all he did the whole time was start fight with cops. That guy, okay, probably not a Trump supporter, but he was doing bad stuff. But the media made out January 6th like it was, Hitler-esque. It was the Reichstag. It was just, they need to be buried in jail forever, like life in prison. And then the people that got arrested on May 29th, they got paid by the government.
Yeah, think about that. I mean, Joshua, you spent time in solitary confinement, although they didn't call it that. Jake Lang has been spending time in solitary confinement. Almost every J6er spent time in solitary confinement. And these people are paid by the government. I think that just really right there encapsulates it all. Heather, I want to give you a chance to give some closing thoughts.
Oh, on what?
On anything. You're supposed to give us your closing. George, you're up.
What?
We need a federal investigation to shut down all of Heather's memes until we can figure out what the heck is going on.
Ladies, if you're single and want to give George a baby, I heard he is single.
You shouldn't have started that, George. But give me your serious closing thoughts.
After you have a child, is that how it works?
I'm gonna learn. It's gonna take me a while to warm up to the dad jokes that are a danger to our republic. You know, these dad jokes. Well, Joshua, I love what you're saying, man. I want vindication for you. Amen.
I'll take checks.
Yeah, well, you're black, so you'll get reparations.
That's so funny.
Heather.
What? Well, yeah. So my closing thoughts are, I genuinely feel like it's weird that the other side, the machine, the cabal, whatever you want to call it, I just think they're being way too friendly right now, and I don't trust it because they're all a bunch of freaking criminals. And I would just say keep your head on a swivel, America. Like, soak up this win, but keep your head on a swivel because these people are evil and there's so much that they've done. And knowing that we potentially have the presidency, the House, and the Senate, like, they have to know that investigations are going to be done at some point. So imagine, a criminal who's got a trafficked human in the car and a whole bunch of drugs getting pulled over by the cops. Like, it just seems way too strange that they're being so nice and just trying to, we're going to congratulate Trump. We're just going to do this.
We're going to congratulate Hitler.
Like, yeah, we want to congratulate, Hitler. Like, none of it makes sense to me. And maybe somehow they're just terrified of Trump DOJ going after them, so they're trying to kiss ass before, the transition of power. I don't know, but something tells me that we need to just keep our head on a swivel, especially when just a few months ago you had some of these staunch Democrats trying to pass laws about mass casualty incidents and things like that. I don't think we should put our guard down necessarily, because we still have another step in this battle, and that's the January 20th battle, and like getting Trump to that deadline, getting that transition of power, getting the certification from Congress. So celebrate this victory for sure, but keep your head on a swivel and stay guarded, because I don't trust these guys. That's my final statement.
Fair enough, Heather. Fair enough, folks. I'm just so excited that, number one, Jack Smith and Merrick Garland are packing their bags. This is absolutely the greatest miscarriage of justice we have seen, and not only against J6ers, but also against people protesting outside abortion clinics. Not even protesting, just praying outside abortion clinics. I can go on and on. What about the guy who had federal agents holding a gun to his head in front of his kids and wife? You guys all saw that video. On and on it goes. It has been such a miscarriage of justice by this quote-unquote Justice Department. And to finally see this coming to the end is absolutely the greatest thing I've seen. And the other thing I'm so excited about, this is why I'm so excited about Elon Musk, is because, folks, we need to trim the government fat.
Amen.
I always hear about budget cuts. They're not budget cuts. Okay,
Right.
Just understand, when the government tells you, when the school system tells you, hey, they're going to cut our budget, that's not a budget cut. Do you know what it is? It's a decrease of the increase.
Right.
That's exactly what it is. It's a decrease of the increase. So what they're saying is our budget was supposed to be up 4%. Now it's only going to be up 3%. Imagine saying that in your own home. A decrease in budget is when you actually cut your budget. You were spending $500 a month in groceries, and now because of the stupid government and all their stupid policies, and you're spending too much on gas and too much on energy, you're down to $400 a month on groceries. And the problem is groceries have gone up over 30%. So you're wondering, I couldn't afford it. I couldn't get enough groceries at $500, but now I really can't get it at $400. So what am I going to do? Eat freaking ramen noodles and get fat? That's the choices that they're leaving you with. And that's what a real budget cut is. And they're not actually cutting their budget. So Elon Musk talking about cutting $2 trillion out. Boom. That's what excites me about this. This is the greatest transformational moment in political history if we can actually see these things come to pass, folks.
Don't cut the government budget, cut the government.
Yes.
You know, the guy that makes $100,000 a year, you get rid of 100 of them, that you saved a lot of money. You know,
this lumberjack is the only man I know that's going to do a closing statement on his own show, knowing full well he'll be live in 2 hours again.
I will not. I'm going to hit the hay, man.
Hey,
But
can I negotiate a contract between Joshua and Neil? You guys put your hands in the air. I'm about to announce a contract.
I don't know where you're going.
I'll contact you.
Okay, look, you guys are going to promise me you're going to do a weekly show. How many people in the chat want this? Joshua could be the next big thing, man. He could be preaching on streams, man. This guy speaks fire, man. He's spitting fire. So how many people in the chat want this? Yes, if you want it. No, if you don't.
All right, I'll let the you know, what's that? Elon Musk.
One yes. Someone said me.
Me. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone said Heather Mullins' jokes did not. It came from a garbage can where Trump was collecting garbage from as a garbage man. Yeah, Heather, I actually read that off the chat. No, I didn't read that.
They like my jokes, or they don't like my jokes. I
think they like it.
All right,
but...
we gotta ask the chat. Chat, did you?
Okay, chat. Okay, so they want the show, but chat, you don't like Heather's jokes. Yes, if you don't. Yes, if you don't. And no, if you don't.
Stop it, George. I will ask the question. You can't lead like that. Okay, folks, if you like Heather's jokes, just put a thumbs up in the chat. Well, no, I don't want to confuse people. Some people probably don't know how to use those. But anyways, if you like Heather's jokes, say Heather. Well, if you agree with Heather, let's do
They're
it
all
this.
saying yes. Oh, dang it.
No, if you agree with Heather, you like her jokes, say Heather. If you agree with George, say George. So George doesn't like Heather's jokes. If you like Heather's jokes, you go Heather. If you don't like him, you say George. Let's see. We got one George. I got a George. I can't believe it.
They're just simping.
Funny.
Heather is funny. Love Heather.
You hadn't seen Step Brothers, so like it
You
went
guys
over
really
their
like those jokes?
Look at that. Everybody likes Heather. I'm sorry. You were never going to win that. You're never going to go, okay, there's a pretty gal sharing memes and telling jokes, and they're going to come against her, George.
Right? Yeah, duh.
Someone said George.
I feel like Kamala Harris right now. I'm getting destroyed. The votes coming in. The votes are coming in. We're going to need Dominion machines to get me to win tonight. Wow.
All right, folks, thanks for listening.
I'll concede defeat. Heather's jokes induce smirks. How about that? Halfway in.
I love y'all. I really do. I love my audience. Thanks so much for staying in this fight. Let's rejoice in the win, but it is, like Heather said, you do have to keep your head on a swivel all the time. We'll see you on the next episode. Remember, subscribe if you're new. All right. Peace out, folks. Okay. Keep fighting the good fight.